Okay, we're back. We got these same three knives here. We're going to try to do a little whittling and maybe a little batoning with them. So I thought I'd try to make a feather stick with each one and just see what kind of fine curls and shavings I can get with this thing. Like we were going to start a fire, you know, if we're camping or something like that. So, so start off with the first one, the white paper micarta with the thicker. And you can already see the thicker saber grind. You can already see with this 01 steel how it's already getting a little bit of patina to it. Just you know, in the last 10 minutes when we started peeling that onion. That's perfectly fine. The steel does that. It's not considered a flaw. It's going to get a character and patina, and in no time at all, that knife is going to look a lot like that knife. You know, that's just the nature of that 01 steel. That is some tough stuff. Holds an edge for a long time. Now this one here, anyway, I know for sure takes an edge extremely quickly and easy. I mean, you can use this thing all day in heavy usage, and it just barely need a little touch up, and hit it a couple times on a stone, and boom, it's right back. So I like it. If the patina doesn't bother you, and it doesn't bother me at all. I'm a tool user, not a knife collector, like I said before. So let's try to make a feather stick here. And you see the angle I'm having to hold this at. And believe this, I mean, you can see those paper thin shavings. This is red oak. It's pretty hard, pretty tough stuff. But it's a razor sharp knife, and you can see it's made some pretty fine shavings. So this is the least efficient slicer, I think, of the three, and it's not a flaw. It's simply a design feature of the knife. This knife has a more stout edge profile than the other two for strength, and you know, as a consequence, it slightly less efficient slicer, but it's a pretty substantial feeling knife, and you can see the fine shavings I'm getting with this one. You know, that's nothing wrong with that. It's pretty little effort. But again, this is a really hard, not completely seasoned piece of red oak, and you know, it's taking a little bit of effort, but nothing. You know, my son could do it. My 12-year-old son could do it fairly easily, I think. It's not anything outlandish, you know, to get that done. So let's yeah, that's kind of what we wound up with there. You know, let's try some of these other two knives. That's the 01 Bushcraft, 01 Bushfinger by Andy Roy, Fiddleback Forge. Let's try this. Boy, I really like this knife. This is going to be, I think, my new go-to knife. Let's try this this other Bushfinger. This is the stainless Bushfinger with seems to have a little bit of a thinner grind to it than the other one. Yeah, I definitely don't have to hold this one as steep of an angle. And again, it's just making some pretty thin. Yeah, I can definitely. This seems to be cutting a little bit better, just due to the thinness of the edge. And you can tell it's super sharp. Well, this S35 VN though, man, I tell you, in comparison to that 01, you take that 01 when it finally does get dull and hit it, you know, 10 licks or so I use a diamond and a ceramic, you know, two-sided stone. About 10 licks on each side of that, dude, and it's just right back. This S35 VN is a whole nother story. You better have a good large stone and a few minutes to work on them. It seems to keep its edge a little longer than that 01, but boy, it sure does take a lot longer to sharpen too. So it's a trade-off, you know. It's more field maintenance friendly because of course it doesn't stain like that 01 does, and it's certainly not going to rust in the leather sheath or something like that. But whereas out in the field you can make that 01 just hair popping sharp in a couple of minutes on a little, you know, 4-inch small field stone. If you do manage to dull this thing out in the field, you're going to be working on it for a minute. That's just the nature of that S35 VN steel. It sure does take a few minutes to sharpen versus that 01, which just sharpens up so nice. So I guess it's somewhat of a trade-off. I prefer a knife that I don't have to worry about out in the field at all. I expect this thing to hold an edge through a 4 or 5 day camping trip, which is typically what we go on our backpack camping trips. I don't abuse it. I don't chop it, roots in the dirt and stuff like that. So they pretty well stay sharp for me for the whole duration. But you can tell it does just fine on the feather stick making and slicing efficiency. So let's try this last one here. This is the Dogwood Dan hiking buddy with the saber grind. I guess you'd call that a drop point. It's 01 tool steel also. It's got a pretty thin edge on it. I expect it to do pretty well. Cut that one right off. Slightly less of an efficient slicer than the stainless bush finger, but it also has a little bit of a thicker edge profile, I think. This convex saber grind doesn't go quite as high off the blade as that S35 VN one does. And you can see it's slicing there pretty good. All these knives are, I believe, 5/32 each. Every one of them is. There you go. I've carried this quite a bit, and it's a really nice, handy little knife. Fits my hand just right, and not too big, not too heavy, not too pointy, not too wide. I mean, it's just about right for me. It's not a chopper, but it sure is a cutter, and to me that's what a knife's supposed to be, and it's just hair popping, stupid sharp. And there's the feather stick with that. Still performed at least as well as the other two. Maybe not quite as good as the stainless one. It's got the thinner edge on it, but we're going to do some batoning next, see how they do.